And from Columbus, Ohio, I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl Tech Life Steph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. Happy Voting Day Eve, I think. Yeah, we got a couple more hours left until it's go time. And then after that, you don't have to be worried. Well, let me not say you don't never have to be worried about it, but you won't have to be worried for the time being about all the text messages and all the campaign messages.
I will be so happy when the commercials are
My
done.
goodness, the commercials.
When the commercials are over, life will be good again. Like, I'm so over the commercials.
Now, see, I early voted, and I was told, because they keep saying this, early vote. That way, you will have whatever campaigns that are sending you, whatever messages they're sending you, they'll stop because you've already voted. There's no reason for them to continue to send you.
Listen, we're all in swing states. You in Ohio, Steph, you in Philly, and I'm in Georgia. We seeing them text campaign messages.
Man, the text messages, it's too much. It's too much.
So, yeah. So for folks who are watching us live, please go out and do your civic duty tomorrow if you haven't already done it. For those who are listening to us, your polls is probably about to close in about an hour from the time, if you're on the East Coast, about the time that this show goes up on tomorrow, late afternoon. But yeah, did y'all early vote? Am I only one?
No, so, I'll be in line tomorrow.
So I early voted on Friday, and I got to say, it wasn't bad at all. Now, it was crowded. There were hundreds of people, but at no point was I ever in line, and the line wasn't constantly moving at a normal walking pace. So granted, when I got to the place, there's hundreds of people there that are in the process of doing whatever, getting out, getting in, so on and so forth. And there was a line, but it's like once you got in the line, you're just constantly walking, and I never stopped in the line until you get to the person where they tell you this is where you go to actually check in. And then, because it's like in Ohio, they only have one early voting place per precinct or per county. So it's super crowded. I live in a fairly large county. This is a suburb of Columbus. So like I said, I was surprised because I heard horror stories yesterday where people were in line for like 2.5 to 3.5 hours where there were thousands of people in front of them. I was lucky I didn't have to go through any of that.
I feel like I don't think my little borough had early voting now that I'm thinking about it. I don't, for some reason, I don't think we had it. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. But, there definitely weren't like any sort of communications about it or any signs up because, my polling place is literally across the street from my house. So, I didn't see anything about, come vote early on the 3rd or whatever. Like it, I don't think we have the bandwidth. I mean, I live in a very small borough, very tiny little community. I don't even think there's the bandwidth, to have people there 2 times, to have people come in early and do it, then they'd have to come back. So,
and if it's early voting, it's all week long. So it wasn't just like once a day. You got to come multiple times a day, and then come back all day for the regular voting, general election.
Yeah.
Here in Ohio, they didn't like it in after 2008. When it was too easy to vote, so they made it harder. So it used to be like you could early vote. It wasn't the same number of precincts, but they still had multiple places you could early vote in your county. They changed that law after Obama got in the first time, and now it is like there's one. So there's 88 counties in Ohio. There's 88 places where you can go. And like I said, if you're a small, a very small county, it's probably not a big deal. If you're in like Franklin County, Columbus, if you're in Cuyahoga County for Cleveland, I can't think of the county for Cincinnati, but if you're in one of those big cities like that, it's a problem because everyone has to go to the same place. So the lines, I mean, they have a lot of capacity, but they only have, maybe 40, 50 machines in there. And if you've got a couple thousand people in line, that's going to still take a minute for you to get through it. So I hope everybody, if you did early voting, you made out okay. If you're going to do it tomorrow, you might want to get there early. Take you a folding chair or something because you might be in some lines depending on where you are voting at.
Well, no, it depends because everybody was in such a hurry to early vote because nobody wanted to show like they were already trying to do polls. And the poll said this and the poll said that. So one team got freaked out because one poll said this. So now they forcing all their people to early vote. And then another poll says this, so the other party forcing their people out to early vote. When in actuality, if you just wait, you may get lucky to where tomorrow, or when you actually voting day,
Ain't gonna
you
be
probably
nobody there.
Yeah.
ain't nobody gonna beat nobody there.
Yeah.
They
You
got
just,
yeah.
we
Yeah,
can only hope. But please, 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 I'm not telling you who to vote for. I kind of
vote.
am, but I'm not telling you on this show.
Vote.
But please go vote. Go do your civic duty, because that stuff matters. And these races, they're saying they're going to be close, so your vote actually can make a difference.
And, just one more quick plug for voting. Like, there's more stuff on a ballot besides just the president. You know what I mean? There's different initiatives and referendums that affect your neighborhood directly. There's local elections, there's state and regional, like there's all kind of stuff on ballots besides just Trump and Harris, you know what I mean? So, like, even if you are withholding your vote, whatever that means on the presidential election, you still need to get in there and vote for the rest of the stuff that's happening in your community. So, all these people talking about, I ain't voting, it don't make no difference, I'm withholding my vote until I get, listen, it's not even about that. It's not even about that. Go in there and do what you need to do for your community and for yourself.
Stuff matters. I cringe when I hear people say stuff like, I put him in or I put her in and they ain't did nothing. It's like, particularly when you're talking about the president. The president does not make laws. All they can do is sign laws that Congress passes. So if you're not voting for your Congress people, politics really is a local thing. Who's on your school board, all the judges and all that kind of stuff. If you're not voting on that stuff,
throw you in jail for weed when they could let you go, a different judge could let you go with a warning or probation. Like, come on, man, like, stop playing, go vote.
Terrance, you posted that thing in the Discord about the traffic cams, that the traffic cams are a little bit biased, but the police are way biased when it comes to the amount of tickets that they give based off of ethnicity and this and that and the other. So here's where voting, if you get the right judge, you might get a judge that will literally throw your case out because the numbers have come in. Depending on who that judge is, they may say, no, these numbers really don't mean anything. You were speeding, so you get the ticket.
And those traffic cameras might have been on the ballot. Like, do y'all want traffic cameras in y'all community? Yes or no? And because you didn't go say no, the yeses won out. And now you got these traffic cameras that have faulty facial recognition and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all connected, baby. It's all connected.
It is
you
all
gotta
connected.
Vote. You gotta vote.
And we generally are not a political show. We don't shy away from it. But a lot of the stuff that we talk about on here can be rectified based off of not corrected completely. I'm not saying that, but you can make things better by depending on who you put in office and who you don't put in office. So it's important for folks who are still hearing this message and you still have some time. If you haven't done it and you are registered, please go out and do your civic duty. So with that being said, y'all, let's jump into some of these tech stories. This first one here, this happened last week. I wanted to talk about this and get your guys' take on this, because we talk about this kind of stuff seemingly with Amazon regularly, but Amazon workers are appalled by AWS CEO Matt Garman's return to office remarks, where he basically made some statements that 9 out of 10 workers he had spoken to are in support of the return to office policy. Amazon Web Services, they're talking about a full return to work. They want you in 5 days a week. And this dude is saying that, I talked to people at the company and 9 out of 10 said they were completely for it.
Pull some numbers out his ass.
So this is the new section we go do, cap or no cap. There's 9 out of 10 people who didn't have to come into the office every day are not telling you, coming into the office every day is cool. We are with that. Clearly, the Amazon workers are upset about this. They are saying that they want an urgent reversal of the policy. That's not going to happen. I get where the people are coming from, but I just kind of want to get your take. Amazon is saying we are going back 5 days a week. If you don't like that, then you don't like working here.
So I had a couple thoughts about just back to work policies in general. Number one, I think companies should have been more clear at the start of pandemic that this is temporary. Yeah. And I think they just did a horrible job of sort of reiterating and reinforcing the idea that when this is over and when the government tells us we can, y'all got to come back in here. You know what I mean? And not only did they do a horrible job of putting policy to this temporary situation, they didn't do it after either. So when we were allowed to come back to work, because pandemic has been over since 2022, you know what I mean? It's 2024 right now. So you clearly weren't either and I don't know what was going on because I don't work in nobody's office, thank God. So I don't know what the climate was or whatever, but the second the restrictions got lifted, what was happening then? You clearly were like, well, we'll just let people kind of, you figure you were way too loose and amorphous in your policies when pandemic happened and when restrictions were lifted. And you can't now, I don't know. I mean, you can put the genie back in the bottle because you can just fire people and say they can't, if you ain't coming in, you ain't working here. You can do that. But I think the negative PR and your inability to hire going forward is going to be severely limited and restricted and impacted by the fact that you didn't do your due diligence on the front end in the first place.
And we just got to hope that people stick to that, right? Because again, this whole letter, 500 Amazon employees sent a letter. That ain't gonna cut it. A letter ain't gonna cut it.
And 500 employees ain't gonna cut it. That ain't. Right. Amazon got 1 million people working for them.
Right. So only way, in my opinion, that this is going to change is if the pockets reflect people, like Stephanie mentioned. It's the people are leaving. And then they can't get competitive people in. They can't get people in competitively because they don't have that 100% remote or hybrid remote or whatever the thing is that potential employees want, which I'm assuming most of us want some sort of 100% remote if you can, or some sort of hybrid 2 to 3 work. I mean, people will settle for that, right? The only way Amazon is going to change is if they can't get no people in. If they can't get no people in, all of a sudden, right. Amazon is a welcoming environment where we strive on. Yeah, you'll hear that all day long.
We listened to our employees and we heard you when you said you preferred a hybrid work schedule. Yeah.
Until then, Amazon's going to do what Amazon's going to do. Absolutely. And we, as people who need paychecks and people who need money and income, we got to decide is if we cool with that. And if Amazon continues to roll like it was, 500 people upset, they sent a letter, but that ain't gonna move the needle, baby.
So we talked about this on DTNS, and a couple of listeners actually wrote in, and one of the things they said, in one case was that these big companies like Amazon, they may have deals for tax breaks where they worked out if you build a office downtown and we know you're going to have 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 employees working in this downtown area, we'll give you this tax break because that ultimately is going to help other businesses flourish because you got that many people working. And the city's
economy.
Yeah, it's going to help the economy. So that could be a reason as to why they're doing it, to where they're saying, hey, listen, if you don't have the people, you're going to pay more taxes. And so Amazon's like, oh, well, you can fix that. People come back in. That's one of the things. One of the things that I think that could be happening here is that you could be having another reduction in force that you do not have to report to the government. This could be a way to get, if it's 500 people that had this issue and there's 500 people that sending these notes in, it's like, you know what, 500 people and they're good employees and we like to have them. But if they don't want to be here because we have decided that our culture is you come into the office every day, we will let them go on, and then we will replace them with people that when you come in the door, you are going to be here 5 days a week. That is the job. So it would be kind of weird for you to go into a company that says in the job interview, we are a on-site work in the office every day company. If that is a problem for you, then we should end the interview now. And then you just go through the interview, you get the job, and then you start complaining about, well, I really don't want to come in every day. It didn't really work like that. You kind of knew that coming up front. So I think that could be a big part of it. This could be another reduction in force to where they could lose a couple percentage points of their office workers, and the ones that they're losing are the ones that don't want to come in.
And that's the way to reestablish the 5-day-a-week thing. It's like let those other folks sort of matriculate out of the system, if you will. But also, in addition to whatever tax incentive they may have gotten from the cities that they reside in, it's just hella expensive to own and operate an office building. You know what I mean? Or rent and operate it, whether they own or rent, but to have that huge structure sitting there empty is a loss for them, and it's a loss that they would be able to write off, I'm sure, some kind of way. But I think it just behooves them. There's just more incentive to get people back in the office than not. But this brute force way of doing it, I think, just doesn't make them look good. I don't know that they care.
And disingenuous.
Yeah. That's the part.
Y'all don't care about productivity. Y'all don't care about collaboration.
And you ain't even got to lie about 9 out of 10. Like, you ain't got to lie to kick it, Craig. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all good. Just
and
tell
that
people
makes
they got to
people
come in or not. Like,
that makes people even more upset, because it's like if I'm being told, if I want to continue to work here, I'm going to come in 5 days a week. That's one thing. But when you gaslight me and tell me, oh, but you want to come in and work these 5 days. No, you want me to come in. Just
Amazon
keep it real.
Need to stop playing in people's face.
Stop fronting, y'all.
Stop playing in people's face.
So I've been saying this for a long, long time. I saw the writing on the wall. These companies are not going to continue to lose money on this real estate. They simply just aren't.
Absolutely not.
They simply
absolutely
just
not
aren't. And I think what the calculation that they're doing, bad press and all, is like, okay, we have some employees who are disgruntled because they have to come in, and they may go and look for something elsewhere, but we can go bring somebody else in who is coming in under the mandate that you come in. Because if we go back to 2019, nobody ever thought that you was just going to be able to just work from home forever, unless that was something that the job said this is 100% remote. You never just thought that. It was just an assumption that if you went downtown and interviewed
you got a job,
in the office
you was
building,
going to go to that job,
and you was going to be in one of them cubes at the job. That was just kind of assumed 5 years ago. We are getting back to that, regardless of what. I understand all the reports on. Go ahead.
To your point about not losing money on the real estate. Winter is coming, to quote Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, and regardless, they're going to need to heat those buildings to keep those pipes from freezing up and from damaging whatever systems are in there. That heat's going on at the end of this month, you know what I mean? No matter what. So they're like, what we not going to do is be heating a big ass empty building and just throwing that, because that money will be getting lost and basically burning up. They might be able to write down the loss of the rent and things like that, but you're gonna pay that electric bill no matter what, and you're not gonna be able to write that shit off. So they like, y'all got to come back in here. It's getting cold. We gonna have to kick this heat on, and it is what it is. Like, go to work or not, get another job. Sucks, but it is what it is.
Steph, I'm glad you are back from your week hiatus, because this story came up about what Meta is doing. I think this is relatively recent. This might have came out like last Friday or today or something like that. But Meta intends to use a proprietary piece of software. It's called an adult classifier, and they're using this to determine if users who say they are older than 18 might actually be lying to them about their age. So we know that that one of the things that Meta is doing with Instagram, with Facebook, with basically all of their social media platforms, is that they are treating children different. If you are a teen under 16, you get treated one way. If you're a teen over 16 or 16 to 18, you can do a little bit more, but you still have a restricted account. So one of the ways to get around that is, oh, I'm not really 12, I'm 22, and you just add 10 years to everything and just do that. But here's the thing. 12-year-olds are not the best criminals in the world. They're not the best masterminds at fleecing people. So you have your auntie or your friend or whomever sends you a birthday, and it actually has your age in it, and that stuff is public. Well, what Meta is doing, in addition to some other things, they are looking at all these metrics to determine whether or not you really are a older teenager or a younger teenager. And if they find that you are, they are going to put your account into the teen class, which is a restricted account. And here's the kicker on this. They said that they eventually may allow you to, if you are actually an older teen, to appeal.
I wrote that. I wrote that down. Right now. I literally wrote that down. It was like they will eventually give accounts tagged in error the chance to appeal. And my whole thing is like, why don't you have that part of the process worked out before you roll this out? I mean, because I can guarantee you that AI is going to be catching a lot of grown folks' accounts erroneously because, a couple of the indicators that they're going to look at is the accounts that a user follows and the content they interact with regularly. I can guarantee you there are plenty of people over the age 18 that interact with content that you would think a child would interact with. I mean, you might just be into anime or toys or cartoons or
the whole account is geared towards kids. So, you got like, for instance, I know for a fact I've got a 7-year-old and he watches kids YouTube and he thumbs through there, just like a regular person would scroll through regular YouTube. Right. And some of these accounts and some of the content is totally geared towards kids. But for a fact, some grown 40-year-old is sitting in a basement somewhere, in a studio apartment somewhere, queuing up this content. And if let's just, Meta decides, we're gonna track what kind of content they create, what type of people they engage with. Well, the content is for the kids, and if they send in comments back and forth, they engaging with underage kids, so they could definitely flag you, the content creator because
I could have a monetized account that is specifically created to interact with young people. Like I talk about digital citizenship, you know what I mean? And Till Death Do You Tweet. So I actually do have a separate Till Death Do You Tweet Instagram account. I don't post a lot there, but if I wanted to sort of reactivate that account and only engage with young people, giving them tips on how to do better on social media, talk about my book, whatever, but all I'm engaging, like it's literally for teens, and that's all I choose to engage with on that account to try to create a community and a safe space where kids can talk about being bullied and all this other stuff. You gonna shut my account down because you think I'm a child and now I've lost my ability to earn a living and make money? Because eventually,
at some point in the future, they'll let you appeal.
That's crazy.
So
that's crazy.
That part was like, what? Y'all gonna do this and you don't already have the because some folks are going to get hemmed up. Now, one of the other things that they're doing, a lot of people going to get hemmed up with this. They do have they do make a distinction between teen accounts if you're 16 or over or under 16. So they have a system as to where if you're 16 or over, you can actually send in an ID or you can send a video of yourself, and they'll use a service that will actually look at the video to determine whether or not you have the features of an older teen or a younger teen.
The system can be gained
with that.
Yeah, they haven't thought this through, and the fact that AI is still so faulty and gets things wrong so much, and you just gonna let this be an arbitrary way to determine who's who and what's what. Like y'all, this ain't it, Meta.
This is one of the times where being black or brown would actually benefit you when it comes to AI, because AI always thinks that we are older than we are. It always thinks that young kids that actually are 12 and look like babies in the face to us. Oh, that was a 27-year-old man. That's how come we had to shoot him 7 times center mass. So I'm just saying the AI might actually struggle with determining the age of young folks so they can still get over. But yeah, I was not shocked. I was like, y'all really gonna put this out and don't have an appeal
Right.
process already in place?
Nothing. Ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
Red can't tell you how accurate it is, because on Monday the company didn't disclose how accurate the adult classifier tool is at determining a person's age. Meta told Bloomberg it would eventually give people who are wrongly identified by the software the ability to appeal, though the social media giant is still working out what that process will look like.
So let me play devil's advocate for a bit. One of the things that Meta does not do on accounts for teens under 18 years of age is monetize them the way that they would if they were over 18. So from a company standpoint, wouldn't it make sense that they find very few of these accounts that actually meet the criteria that, oh, this is the account that we have to ding and knock it down? Because if you do that, you now make less money on that account than before.
Right.
So I wonder how strict this system is. Is it going to be when you clearly can tell there was a 9-year-old and they couldn't do the math to tell you there was 19 as compared to being 9? Things wasn't matching up. Is it that, or are you really trying to get this person is 15, but we need to, and they're saying that they're 21. We need to crack back on them. Who are they really going after? Because my gut is that if they can legitimately say, oh, our system said this person was an actual adult, so we kept monetizing them and using their data to make us billions of dollars.
And I think this could all just be lip service anyway, because the last paragraph of the article I wrote, I wasn't able to get the Bloomberg, but Engadget did a piece as well. Meta, alongside Google and TikTok owner ByteDance, recently failed to convince a U.S. federal judge to dismiss a series of lawsuits alleging the companies failed to adequately protect their young users from the harmful and addictive effects of social media use. So, there's an incentive for them to look like they're being proactive and tough on minor accounts by doing this and by announcing it. But how effective is it really going to be? How often how enforceable is it? You know what I mean? How much are they actually going to implement this technology versus they want to appear to look like they're doing something maybe to get them out of this lawsuit that they are currently embroiled in. So you never know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, folks, let's move on. We have an announcement for those who are listening and not watching. I am truly shocked when I say this because I would have never thought this, but dating apps are designed to make money, not matches.
The same thing. Oh my gosh, how could it be?
So, designed to be deleted is the tagline of one of the UK's most popular dating apps. Hinge promises that it is the dating app for people who want to get off dating apps, the place to find lasting love. But critics say modern dating is in crisis. They claim that dating apps, which have been downloaded hundreds of millions of times worldwide, are exploitative and are designed not to be deleted, but to be addictive to retain users in order to create revenue. And like I said, for those who are not watching, I am so shocked that for-profit companies are trying to make money off of people who, if we match you up and you no longer need us, we're not going to make money. So maybe we don't do that to the extent that you might think that we are.
I mean, there's no surprise here. Like I'm on a couple of the apps. I don't really do anything but swipe. I refuse to pay. But even without paying, it's on Bumble specifically, they have sort of in-app ads that you can't swipe away from for a certain amount of time. Like the way you watch ads on YouTube and you have to watch a little bit of it before it lets you skip. They've added those to Bumble now. And it's just like, it's all in service of monetization. And literally, I was reading the article and talked about how you can't actually see your matches unless you pay. And I'm like, well, what is the point of that then? If I'm not able to, like, we're not doing that. Like, I'm not paying. So I guess I will just never, meet anybody on these apps. It's a shame though, because I think a lot of people do rely on these apps and really put a lot of faith and trust in these apps to help them meet the love of their lives. And they're just really trying to suck you dry pretty much.
So on that last part, right? So I've always seen, and I don't know how I got my algorithm set into this, but I'm in the problem with men and the problem with women and the problem with dating and the problem with dating in ATL and the problem with dating older folks and the problem with dating younger folks. And I found this article because I wanted to find out, or not necessarily find out, I wanted to ask the question, is it the pee in the dating pool or is it everything, right? Because everybody says, oh, it's pee in the dating pool. It's like, are you really trying to find somebody to date? And this will stay with me. It'll make sense in a minute, right? Because what I'm noticing is the content, and maybe that's how I got sucked into it, right? The content that works on social media is dating content, whether you want the alpha male or you want a soft life or you want all of these things that go in this, dating and networking, whatever the case may be. And I've noticed that there are people out there who call themselves air quote dating, but are solely creating content, and they are dating not to find somebody, but to feed their content. So they'll say, they'll go on the first date, or I match with this guy, and they'll screenshot the conversation. That's all I see the most. Screenshotting conversations that they're having with people on these dating apps. And they're like, see, this is the problem with yada, 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 yada. Right. And it's like, all right, are you actually dating to be dating
With
to find
intention.
somebody with intention? And so it's like the reason why I brought this article up is because if you are, like you mentioned, Stephanie, like putting your faith in these apps to find this is the sole source of you finding a potential partner in a dating app, you're not doing yourself any favors, because one, the people on the apps themselves are just trying to find content. And two, the app ain't trying to help you find nobody. They trying to get their coins
So
too.
you almost had 3 strikes and you out pretty much.
Right. So it's like, I'm curious for those people who claim they are using these apps as a sole source of finding a potential partner. It's like, if you know this, then what else are you doing in addition to just going to, clubs that are played out, especially for our age, right? And just doing the typical things that people do. Like now, what's typical is going on a dating app.
Right.
Well, now we know that dating apps ain't helping. So it's like, all right, what y'all gonna do now? Are y'all just gonna stay on social media and complain, or what is it? What's the next thing?
It's hard out here for a pimp. I'll tell you that much.
So I have, a friend. She's had significant others, but I don't think she's been in a relationship that went more than like 2 or 3 years. And she's our age, and she decided, you know what? I got to stop just thinking that this won't work, and let's just try it, because I do not want to remain single. I would like to find someone that is going to work for me. So she actually got an executive matchmaker. And it's not inexpensive. This is significantly more expensive than what you would ever do on a dating app. But I remember her, the conversation she was saying is that what I need for you to do, if you want this to work, because you're not getting a refund, this is, I'm charging you this, and I'm going to give you my experience on the best way to make it work. This questionnaire, spend time and be as truthful as you possibly can with it. Don't try to make yourself be better in this area. Don't try to make yourself be better in that area. Just be you. Just be who you are, because you are someone who's over 40 and you don't want to have to do all the games and figure out who somebody really is. So be truthful on this. And what I can tell you is that she has met 2 people on here. And let's just say on one of them, the book is still open. We're seeing where this might actually go, but it was, she had to, really think about some things. She was one like, well, I want a man that does this and I want a man that does that. And it's like, the matchmaker is saying is like, we can do that, but you are limiting yourself based off of these arbitrary things that you're saying that you want. Is that really what you want? So it was like the person that is the matchmaker actually is a clinical psychologist that she has turned her business into doing this and has got like a ridiculously high match rate of like 57 or 58% or something like that. So I got a friend who's trying. Like I said, the book is still open. We're still seeing where it's going. But
I would say, like, I can only go off of my own experience. By the way, I do have a very good friend who met her fiance on a dating app. Like they met, they've been together, they just got engaged. So it can work if you are invested in making it work. I will say, I don't think the prompts that these apps put forth are the best at gauging somebody else's personality and intention. I think they think they are, but I don't think that's a good way to do it. And for what it's worth, it always appears, at least for the guys that actually fill out the prompts, because that's the one problem too. It's like you could be talking a bunch of shit about you ain't meeting nobody, but you didn't do any of the prompts. Like we don't know anything about you, but so, like you have no. I would say I probably see more profiles who have not done any of the prompts or have like 1 or 2 word answers or are trying to be cute and are like, get me off this app. What's one thing I hate? The prompt might be, what's one dating apps? Like, well, why are you on here? You know what I'm saying? Like you think you're being cute and ironic, but you're really not. Like a lot of people's profiles need work, like a lot, like a lot of the pictures, like it just
or maybe they need to do work, which is half of the problem. That's kind of go ahead, Seth.
And I agree with you. I don't know necessarily. I think the apps definitely have an agenda, because they are in the business of making money. They have an agenda to keep you swiping, to keep you on there, to make you buy roses and super likes and all the in-app purchases that are available. But I think people just don't really know how to present themselves on these apps. I think there are people that do this as a business. They will go in and zhuzh your profile for you and help you take better pictures because when I tell you that, like, I've probably swiped, let's see, right on, because I guess I only use Bumble. So Bumble is, if you swipe right, you want to try to match with somebody. I've probably only swiped right less than 5 times.
Wow.
And I don't consider myself quote unquote picky. I do have standards, but just off of like very, very general and generic stuff, like, and it's in my profile. So 2 things in my profile. You cannot refer to women as females. We're not doing that in 2024.
So Shannon Sharp ain't got no shot with you?
No, absolutely not. And so that's cutting out a whole bunch of people right out the gate. If you have anything in your profile where it refers to women as females, we can't. We're not going to be a match. The other thing, you have to be smiling in at least one of your profile pictures. Okay. I feel like that's hella reasonable, but you have no idea how many profiles are, and it had been some fine brothers that I was like, oh, he's cute, but he's not smiling in none of his. So I, because I am principled, have to swipe left. Why aren't you smiling? Like, is this indicative of the quality of your teeth? Like, do you just think you not smiling is for punks? Like, what is wrong with just having at least one picture, even a half smile, even a smirk, even a smirk, a closed mouth smile? You can have but you have to look bemused. You could just look bemused. You don't even have to be teasing. But the fact that every single one of your pictures, out of the 6 pictures you can upload, they all look like mugshots. Like, what is wrong with you? You look like a serial killer right now. Like, and I'm telling you, this happens more often than not in folks folks that I'm swiping. So, you could talk all about how dating apps are manipulating folks, but folks also don't have any idea how to create profiles on dating apps that a woman would actually be like, oh, wow, he looks really nice. Let me swipe right. Like
And I think,
profile
and,
really
and I think that goes back to my ultimate point. It's like people are not really putting in the effort, right?
all.
Not necessarily, not
At
necessarily
all.
paying for all the upcharges and the in-app subscriptions, but stuff as simple as completing the questionnaire, filling out the forms, checking the boxes,
Anything.
and then again, right? To me, that's indicative of you.
Yeah.
How do you not want to put in the effort to complete the form or the profile, but then expect the world from the people who you think you're supposed to match with? It's like you have to put in effort, period.
It's the truth.
And people are not putting in the effort and
It's
just
the truth.
either they assume that they're a catch, or they're following what everybody else is saying on social media as far as what you should be looking for in a man or woman or whatever the case may be. But I don't believe that whole, the dating pool's got pee in it. No, it's
It
you.
doesn't. It is.
It's
And
you.
another thing is, if whoever's listening out here, male men.
Oh, you about to get inundated with smiling bros that don't call women females.
I will say one more thing for if you're looking for a profile tip, don't try to shame or guilt women into meeting you in person, because literally there's, I would say probably over 50% of the profiles I swipe left on are men who have in their profile, I don't want to spend a lot of time texting back and forth. I don't want to spend a lot of time. Let's just meet it for a drink and see if we've. Brother, I don't know you. I don't want to meet you in person yet.
There's a whole lot of creepy folks out there.
Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. You're going to have to be willing to take it slow, because people are crazy and deranged out there, and I don't know you. So and those people get swiped left immediately when you're like, I ain't trying to play games. I don't want to waste my time. Let's go get a drink and see. Let's just go get a drink and see. No, because when I do swipe left or right, the few people that I have had, a quick little message interaction with, that shit was whack. And I was just like, if you can't even, do this, like where's my incentive to meet you in person? Like I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm long time married. Terrance is long time married. I think, Terrance, you would probably agree with me that there are things that are going to come up in your long-term relationship that are significantly more complex, nerve-wracking, and hard to do than just filling out a freaking profile that might take you an hour to think about and 20 minutes to fill out. I think that's the minimum. But that's the minimum you could do.
Outside of this, this story or whatever, I think the ultimate issue is, I don't know if I mentioned it on here. People have what I've heard been coined is main character complex. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I've noticed it to where it's like my experiences, my lived experiences are the experiences of everybody else. And if they're not, it ain't me. You are the problem. I don't understand why people can't, and I don't, and that, the reason how this goes back into dating is because it's like, all right, there are different people with different experiences, different perspectives, different whatever the case may be. But if you can't get out of everything should fit in line based on, my whatevers. And it's just like, then you have all these problems, and then you want to blame it on an app, or you want to blame it on social media, or you want to blame it on the opposite sex.
It ain't the app's fault. It's not.
It's not solely the app's fault. Now the apps ain't really trying to help, but don't chalk it up as, these dating apps are stupid. Same way you go on social media, these men are stupid, or these women are. Yeah, these women or these men or these females.
Here's the other thing. Stop taking relationship advice from folks who are horrible with relationships.
Well, from people
unless
on the
they're
internet,
giving you a cautionary tale of how they messed up. Don't take advice from people who don't know. Don't take
Don't take
advice
advice
from
from people. Don't take advice from people on the internet, period.
Period.
That part. So, this last thing we're going to talk about today is Microsoft is struggling to retain Black, Latin, and female employees. According to Microsoft's latest diversity and inclusion report, female employees accounted for 32.7% of all exits globally this fiscal year ending June 30th in 2024, up from 31% the previous year. And in the U.S., Black and Latin employees also saw significant increases in departures, with Black employees making up 10% of exits, up from 8.7%, and Latinx employees comprising 9.8%, up from 8%. So this was a actually interesting read. I went through and read the article, and then there was even supporting articles that I read. And this isn't folks getting fired per se. This is in most of these cases, I really ain't feeling this place. Let me get up on out of here. So they are going to other places, whether it be for more money or better cultural fit or what have you. But when you think about Microsoft is a ginormous software company. I believe it is the biggest software company on earth. And they are having these kind of issues. So I would just imagine that there's probably a lot of companies that are having these kind of issues like Microsoft are having, particularly with women, but also with, with minorities, Latin and Black folks.
I think, the death of DEI let these companies off the hook. And I don't think they care anymore, honestly.
Right. And you add that with specifically for this story, they mention physical and online real retail operations, which traditionally had more diverse workforce. So the people, if you come into the mall and the Microsoft store is in the mall, the majority of people who made up all that workforce was Black and brown folks. And even like some of the online retail operations, since Microsoft is shrinking down some of that stuff, they getting rid of all their diversity, which again, it sucks that they had to, budget change or whatever, or just Microsoft stores ain't working. But that's emblematic of another issue to where all the brown and Black folks, y'all hire at the lower level. Y'all hire at the entry level, customer service support levels versus you hiring them at the engineering and the development and the analysts and the executives and the C levels. If you get more Black and brown folks in those areas, when your whole monetary profit strategy changes, some of those people are insulated because they're not contributing to or direct benefactors of how much money y'all make. Because the retail, if you're not selling computers in the store, you're closing down the store and all them people got to go. Versus a developer, if you're working on a project and you develop something and it works for 2 or 3 years and then Microsoft decides to pull the plug, that don't necessarily mean they got to let go of all the developers. You just move over
to the next project. Yeah.
You move over to the next project. So, sure, Microsoft could say, well, the reason why we don't have the numbers of change is because our retail business changed. All right, well, hire some more people that ain't directly affected by retail and profit. Then those numbers will stabilize.
Those numbers are probably significant too, because here's the thing: you get to understand a culture of a company. And I've worked at a company to where I was able to go in, and after being there for a minute, I was actually able to. And once again, I apologize to folks who are not watching right now, but I got into the company and was like, okay, this is cool. I can rock with this, and ended up working in that place for 17 years. There's other companies where I was never able to do that. I was there 12 months, 13 months, 15 months. It's like, oh, here's more money and maybe a better opportunity. So it was not one of those things to where I was having a hard time keeping the job that I had. It's just, let me just say it like this. It is more fun when you have to go into the office, and it seems like that's where we're getting back to, because I have not been in offices before the pandemic. But when I was in it, and when I was going to an office every day, it was fun when you could actually go to work and have conversations with people that you liked, as compared to just having work conversations with people that you worked with. There is a difference. If you don't know, I would hope that you would find a place to where you actually find a culture and a fit that you actually feel comfortable in and you like it there. That means the world. And when you have, we're doing everything we can do to get these Black employees in there. Well, here's the thing. If you've been at Microsoft for 3 years doing front end development, don't think that another company would not want that, would not want that resource, would not want that, that capability to come to them. So what a lot of people are doing, And this is just Robb's opinion. I don't have data on this, but what I imagine in a lot of these cases, what happens is that these folks have choice. And that was one of the things that the article actually mentioned, that these people have choice. It's not like they're losing their job. They are leaving on their own to go find something else. And a lot of times it's not just a bigger check. That's a big part of it. But that's not always it. It is, I've been here 3 years. I ain't seen a black person that was, at the level of my manager one up yet in the company. And it's like, I know there's something here because there's a resource group, but I've never met this person. Seems like it's hard to get to that. Maybe there's other companies that's going to pay me a little bit more. It might be a little bit easier to get there, because here's the thing. The difference between being comfortable where you are and liking where you are is significant when one place is willing to pay you 20% more. Because that's another part of this. A lot of times, if you've been in a place for a few years, you literally, just by the nature of having had some experience, can go find more money somewhere else. So a lot of these, in my opinion, minorities in this case, a lot of women, a lot of black people, a lot of Latinx people, they're not leaving because they hated the job. They're just leaving because they didn't love it. It's like, it's just a job. So I can go make this extra money someplace else. And maybe that will be a better cultural fit, because somebody there to say, hey, yeah, it's nice over here. Come over here and check us out. That happens all the time. I know this because it's happened to me, and I've actually done it to people. I've brought people with me when I've left one place and gone to another place, because culture is a lot. And, it's just interesting to see that, Microsoft is putting these numbers out. Steph, you made the comment that, DEI is kind of gone, which it is. And a lot of these companies don't care. But the big companies, they need to care, because this ultimately affects the amount of money that they can make.
But they're not going to, because they had recent layoffs here at Microsoft of the company's DEI teams, all the while talking out of the other side of their face that we need to do more for retention and provide mentorship and all the rest of this thing. And I'm like, so you can't, you know what I mean? You can't be talking about out of both sides of your mouth, saying that you want to do something to reinstitute this commitment and everything else, while you're getting rid of, your DEI team. So I don't know. I don't have any faith in any of these companies, honestly, as it relates to a real and legitimate commitment to hiring diverse teams and retaining diverse talent at their companies. I just don't. Sorry, not sorry.
So, folks, we don't have a regular spotlight that we are going to do this week, but we are going to spotlight Quincy "Delight" Jones Jr. For those who have not heard, Quincy Jones passed away Sunday. I believe he was 90. Was he 91? 91. And I'm just, like I said, so this is not a tech spotlight. This is just someone who was that dude. He was as big as you can get in the music industry. They're literally, there's no one who's bigger than Quincy Jones as far as what he has done and for the amount of time he's done it. So Quincy "Delight" Jones Jr., an American record producer, songwriter, composer, arranger, and film producer, was a musical genius whose career spanned over 7 decades. Born in Chicago in 1933, Jones's musical journey began at a young age playing the trumpet and singing in a gospel quartet. He studied at Seattle University and Berklee College of Music before embarking on a career that would redefine the music industry. Jones's impact on music is immeasurable. He collaborated with legendary artists such as Michael Jackson, Frank Sinatra, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Elvis Presley, Stevie Wonder, Amy Winehouse, Miles Davis, and so many others, producing iconic albums that shattered records and redefined genres. His innovative production techniques and ability to blend diverse musical styles resulted in groundbreaking albums like Thriller, Back on the Block, The Secret Garden, Beyond Music. He's got so many more. Jones has also ventured into film and television, composing scores for films like The Color Purple, The Wiz, and The Heat of the Night, and others, producing television shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His contributions to the entertainment industry earned him numerous accolades, including 28 Grammy Awards, and a Grammy Legend Award, 7 Academy Awards, a Kennedy Center Honors, and a Presidential Medal of Freedom, along with dozens and dozens and dozens of honorary PhDs. I stopped counting when I got to 24, but there may be more than that. So, like I said, this dude was in it, and like I said, I only named a few. If you were a top 100 Billboard person at any point in music, from 70 years ago until today, at some point you've probably worked with Quincy Jones. And I was going through and just looking at just some of the, I mean, everyone.
Quincy was a genius.
He was everything.
Like,
he literally was a genius.
Yeah, you can't throw that title around, willy nilly. Quincy was a literal genius. Like, just, I just put a picture in my stories with an R.I.P. and I, searched in the music for Quincy Jones, and I'm just like going through all the songs that are on there, and like, the songs that got sampled that are, hip hop, just like, oh man, genius.
I mean,
genius.
like all the great, just from a jazz standpoint. I mean, he started with Ray Charles when he was 14 years old. I mean, can you imagine that? Him and Ray Charles as boys. I think Ray was like a year or two older, but they've been boys since he was 14 and they met and they hooked up. But he's worked with Duke Ellington. He's worked with Miles Davis. He's worked with Charlie Parker. I mean, all the folks who have had big stuff in any genre of music for the last 70 years, there's a very good chance that he has had his imprint on it. So I just wanted to, do that shout out. We have lost some big named, Black legends this year. John Amos is gone. James Earl Jones, J.E.J. is gone. Now, Miles Davis. Now, Quincy Jones. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Miles Davis there. But like I said, not a regular Tech John spotlight, but someone who is humongous in, our community and just music
I'm sure
in general.
Quincy probably pioneered some musical, technical things along his career that we don't even know about. You know what I mean? Like some sort of,
synthesizer or something. I'm
completely
making this up, but I just have a picture. I have a picture in my mind of him and Herbie Hancock and him just coming over to the crib. He's like, hey, man, I got all these parts. Let's put them together and see if we can make some weird sounds with them. I am completely making that up, but I expect that there's some truth to it in some form or fashion. So rest in power, Quincy Jones. So that, folks, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. But before we do, I always want to remind folks that there are multiple ways that you can support the Tech John. One of them is by heading over to thetechjohn.com/shop, where you will find all kinds of swag. So we've got hoodies and hats, and it's now sweatshirt season. So if you want to get some new sweatshirts with our mask on it, that is the place to do it. So head over to thetechjohn.com/shop. And as I said, we've got multiple, pieces of swag over there, and any one of them that you would purchase goes a long way to help us produce this show. So that being said, Tech Life Steph, tell folks how they can get at you.
You can follow me all around the web at Tech Life Steph, or check out my website at stephaniehumphrey.com. Sign up for the newsletter.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am at Robb Dunewood on all the things. And we're also at the Tech John, the Tech JAWN on all the things. So come holler at us however you holler. Until we meet again in a week's time. Peace.